Even if you don't think what you said or did was so bad, or believe that the other person is actually in the wrong, it's still important to apologize when you've hurt or angered someone. To preserve or re-establish connections with other people, you have to let go of concerns about right and wrong and try instead to understand the other person's experience. Whatever it is you did, turn it around on yourself for a moment. Don't follow it up with an excuse or a but, just a yes or a no. Would you like the same act being done to you or said to you? If your answer was no, then you have your answer. A heartfelt apology is required because you relate to what you did being unacceptable by you. If the answer was yes, and you wouldn't take offense if the same thing was said or done to you, then you should realize that the person who feels offended is not on the same level of acceptance as you are. And so if they have shown signs of sensitivity or hurt or even mentioned it to you, then a well-planned apology is required. Apologies are just as important for the person apologizing as it is for the person receiving the apology. When you genuinely apologize for your mistake, it humbles you and it teaches you. We share our lives with many people. It's important to know how to live without pouring our views on other people. It's important to live in as much harmony as possible, and it's important to agree that we will disagree and that a middle ground can be found. There are a lot of formulas and researches on the steps to taking to apologize. The one I believe is simplified and almost as accurate a process that most apologies should take is a research and theory done by Harvard. But before I get into the 4 steps of the apology process used by many psychologists, practitioners, preachers, and even coaches, it's important to know that not all apologies are the same. And not all recipients of apologies are the same either. There are 2 kinds of recipients for an apology. The first is the one whom you upset or hurt or acted improperly towards. That person, that relationship may still be open to an apology. That issue is still open to an apology. And so you take the right steps in apologizing and mending what has been broken. The second type of recipient of an apology is the one that does not want an apology. They do not need an apology and will not accept one either. They've moved on past the mistake and have made a decision to cut you off silently, maybe having forgiven you as well. Or then they remain bitter and do not think that your apology is of any value to them. There is a separate session covering the second type of recipient of an apology. You can go to the video on the screen. If your situation is similar to that one where you've come to a point where an apology just won't cut it anymore, then do take a look at this video. If the recipient of an apology is of the first type, where right steps and quick steps can fix the problem, then the first thing you'll have to do is acknowledge the offense. Okay? Truly sitting down, taking a good time to reflect and acknowledge mistakes you made that hurt other people is one of the most important yet neglected ingredients of an apology. This is the first and most important process. If you work on this step well, this would be the last time you would be feeling miserable about this act. Take 5 minutes if you have to. Take 5 weeks if you have to, depending on the graveness of the mistake. In this time, in your head only, attack this person with the same questions as if they had done the same thing to you. Okay? Let's do a simple mind test so I can tell you how to make self-reflection effective. And as all tests, this too is a bit irregular, but that's the whole point of challenging yourself to take a test. To make yourself a bit uncomfortable, but for the results to make you. So for a moment, forget everything I said, forget everything we spoke about, and stay with me for 60 seconds. Think of a sound that really pleases you. Think of the early morning birds chirping, Or think of the ocean waves coming in and gently hitting the shore. Think of the last song or relaxing soundtrack you listened to, the one that you really enjoyed. It takes you to a place of nirvana. How do my words make you feel? You're not listening to the sounds right now, but your mind is playing there. It's gently swaying around in the blissful sounds. Maybe it's making you smile. Now I'm going to ask you to think of sounds that just truly irritating and annoy you down to the bone. What is it? Is it the sound of a screeching chair being dragged across a tiled floor? Or a metal rod being dragged across the road? Or what about a person slurping on their coffee or chewing really loudly with their mouth open? Do you feel those annoying sounds make you uncomfortable in your head? If yes, then these are the 3 reasons for this exercise, and these are the 3 lessons that we can take from this exercise. Number 1, it's easier to upset a person after having pleased them rather than trying to please a person after having upset them. Number 2, you can please someone and hurt someone a day apart, but they would remember the hurt. And number 3, the mind does not know what's real or not. It works off memory, and it creates feelings that match that frequency for that memory. Now, the reason for doing this and understanding this is so that you can take your mistake that you made on someone and go back into your memory and see if someone else made the same mistake with you, if someone else did the same thing to you. What feelings does it bring back? If this is something that has not been experienced by you in the past, then imagine yourself in this situation where someone has done the same to you. Maybe you snapped at a coworker. Maybe you took something from the company fridge that didn't belong to you. Maybe you made yourself comfortable with someone else's property or someone else's money without telling them. There are so many errors people make daily: manipulating, gaslighting, betraying, fomenting. While these are hard to catch when done by us to others, if you flip the script and make yourself the receiver of this abuse, then you will relate to this issue, and then your apology then be more sincere. So as step 1, and the most crucial step really, is to acknowledge in detail that what you did requires an apology. Okay? That needs to come from the inside. It needs to be acknowledged from the inside. Okay? Number 2, make the apology. Remorse as part of an apology is as important for the giver as it is for the receiver. When learning how to apologize effectively, it's important to understand the value of expressing regret. Take responsibility. Taking responsibility is so important for the other person to know that you feel bad about hurting them and wish that you hadn't hurt them. It really is that straightforward. They just want to feel that you hurt them and that you've acknowledged it. How many problems can we rectify and undo immediately, but then we end up doing it again? Why? Because the remorse process previously was not dedicated enough. Feeling genuine remorse will ensure it does not repeat itself. And for the person that was hurt, they already feel bad. And it would be your moral requirement that you let them know that you truly feel bad about them feeling bad. Words of care mixed with words of reassurance certainly goes a long way. Open your apology with strong statements like, "I wish I could take it back," or "I wish I had been more thoughtful," or "I wish I thought about your feelings as well." These are all great expressions of regret that add to the sincerity of your apology and let the other person know that you care. Research shows that when you realize your mistake and you don't apologize, then the meaning to that is that you aren't really concerned about the other person. Apologizing threatens your own self-image, or you believe that an apology will make you weaker and vulnerable to the other person. While that can remain true in underdeveloped or unripe relationships, what you need to do is morally the right thing. And this will make you stronger, not weaker. And once you're done with your well rehearsed, genuine apology, don't wait for any reactions of forgiveness straight away. In fact, plan your apology to end with, "I'd like to give you some time to process my apology and forgive me." Take the time you need, but do know that it's important for me that you are able to forgive me for this mistake. And I also want to thank you for giving me this chance to wake up on this issue. This is what you need to end your apology with. Remember, these are not just words to gaslight the person. They must be genuine and the way you feel about the situation. Give them some space, but continue your acts of love on the side. Don't let their unpleasant state of mood stop you from caring and doing the things that you should be doing. Let some time pass. Could be a few hours, could be a few days, depending on how big the apology needs to be. Then subtly apologize again. And when they are ready to accept your apology, continue the acts of care and love. In fact, increase them and tell them that you are willing to talk about it whenever they are, and offer to learn and make amends here. It's important to know that an apology alone doesn't repair the hurt or make it go away. But it establishes the fact that you know your actions were wrong and that you hurt another human being, probably one that you loved very much. Now, I do want to point out that Howard suggests that in the apology process, explaining what happened is a step we need to take prior to actually making the apology or expressing remorse. However, I feel that if you express remorse first and leave the explaining part as an option for the other person if they want it or not. Okay, you must understand that in bigger mistakes and issues that require an apology, such as infidelity or physical abuse, or even going as far as legal actions taken against the other person, these apologies are best left at a genuine apology. Explanations should be given only if it's asked for, and if it's asked for, then you must give them the truth. In situations like physical abuse, for example, there is no reason you can give to justify yourself. In cases of infidelity, for example, there is no reasons you can give to justify yourself. There are no reasons or triggers for these acts. Humans have the power of choice. We know what's right from wrong. The only and only true solution to the remorse in this case is to admit to yourself and to them that you didn't know any better and that you weren't fully aware and you were probably selfish to have not thought that it was a bad idea at the time. Okay? And that's how your apology should be. Number 3, give an explanation. If the person who is receiving an apology demands or even indicates that they would like to know why you did what you did, take this as a great victory. Celebrate. Here's your chance to lighten your load by admitting it was your mistake and you need their help to stop this mistake, by them too stopping to do whatever it was that may have triggered you. Now, this is not shifting the blame. This is not being narcissistic. This is opening a conversation to them. If what they did was not substantial enough to receive the reaction that you gave, then use this opportunity to thank them that you are growing because of the realization of this mistake. Tell them that the mistake that are corrected out of choice and out of oneself, then those mistakes are gone forever, and thank them for that as well. A sincere apology will bring relief to you, especially if you have guilt over your actions. Not apologizing when you are wrong can be damaging to your personal and your professional relationships. It will lead to buildup of anger, resentment, hostility, which will only keep growing over time. While being apologetic, genuinely, simultaneously, you may be surprised to their reaction if they begin apologizing for things that led to that situation. You would be surprised that many times people want to apologize, but it's important to them that you apologize first. There are many reasons to that, and that is a session which we will cover completely and separately. Now, when explaining, don't admit that the entire conflict was your fault if that's not the way you feel. Give an apology only on part of the conflict where you slipped up. Take that responsibility. It's important to be fair in your apology, both to others and to yourself. Don't accept all the blame if it isn't all your fault. Don't point out the other person's faults or mistakes when apologizing. Those are their mistakes that they need to get aware of for themselves and by themselves. And if they aren't getting aware of them by themselves, then this is not the time to bring it up. Wait for a lighter, more intimate moment with them, and then very politely offer your opinion. Explaining your mistake allows you to establish what you regret about your own actions, but also confirms your own boundaries as well, because not all mistakes are intended to become mistakes, but end up becoming mistakes. So this is your chance to give an explanation if that's the case. If they do get aware over time that they too played a part in the conflict, then you too may receive an apology. While getting an apology makes you feel much better, it's important to remember that that doesn't happen most of the time. So trying to evoke an apology from the other person is manipulative. Take whatever comes from them as part of their forgiveness process. Once you apologize, you can easily move forward and put the conflict behind you. Regardless of the other person's actions when we apologize, we're able to easily maintain our integrity and forgive ourselves. Okay? Number 4, make amends. If there's anything you can do to fix the situation before even apologizing, do it. This will help with your apology. Sometimes in life, people require to apologize for such terrible and tremendous acts that an apology alone will not cut it. In fact, there is probably nothing left in you for the other person to even accept an apology anymore. It's in these cases that doing everything you can do to help you with an apology is necessary. But that is something on a more serious level, and if you feel that that's your case, then do hop on to the other session that will show up on the end of this video. In that session, I discuss in details how to make an apology for which you know there isn't much hope of forgiveness. It's important to know how to apologize with sincerity, and part of that sincerity is the willingness to act. So you can hop on to that screen at the end of this video for more details on apologizing to someone you know you're not going to get forgiveness from. In this case, if the apology can and will be accepted, then you need to offer amends and quickly fix the problem. If you broke something, replace it. Without offering to replace it, just replace it. If you said something hurtful, fix it by saying something opposite. Think of the most truthful fact that you love about this person and tell them that. Heal their wounds with soft words, kind words, words of affirmation. Only a soft, smooth cream can heal the wounds of a sharp, long blade, right? So, if you broke someone's trust, build it. You know how to do it. You know the person. Don't ask, just build it. If they don't trust your words, then keep saying the truth, regardless how stupid you look. If they don't trust you around alcohol or drugs or people of the opposite gender, and if their fears are true, then work on yourself with so much discipline that these things do not bother you anymore in life. Whatever you can do to make things better, do it. If you're not sure what would help, ask the other person. Depending on the size of the apology that needs to be made, it's important you remain brave and honorable. Brave enough to fulfill your promises to make a proper apology in its full process to whomever needs to be apologized to. It's important not to let the guilt or embarrassment make you retract from an apology which is heartfelt. You'll have to remain brave to deaf ears, okay? Set out on your apology knowing that you will get cold reactions in the start. You must simultaneously also maintain your honor, your own respect. While apologizing, it's important to know that you do not have to give up, but at the same time, you don't have to be persistent or consistent. You'll feel it when the person is not ready for an apology. It's important to remind yourself that even if someone accepts your apology, it doesn't necessarily mean that they're ready to forgive you. True forgiveness may take some time, so stay calm, be patient, and keep caring about the other person. Eventually, you will win. Love always wins. Okay? Follow these steps with faith. I don't promise you that this process is going to be easy, but I do promise you that neither one of you will regret it. Okay? Be safe, be positive, and keep taking those steps in the right direction.